people of the internet, it's Paul here, and I'm going to give you my top 5 tips for switching to Linux. Tip number 1, think of it as its own OS. Linux is its own operating system. It isn't Windows, it isn't Mac, it's no other operating system, it's a Linux. This becomes important when you're trying to learn the operating system. A lot of the times people get frustrated because they try and do something on Linux and they realise that they can't, and they realise that no, it's not working for me because they're thinking of it as an other OS, they're thinking of it as Windows. It's not Windows. I know this may seem silly to some people, but a lot of people go in there and they try and sort of, an extreme case would be going in the terminal and then typing ipconfig and wondering why it isn't working. A lot of the times people look for, I've even had slightly older people look for an Internet Explorer logo and finding they can't see it. Now, for tech geeks like me and other people, that tends not to be the issue, but it is something to keep in mind when you're thinking about switching to Linux. Think of it as its own OS. Number 2, come in with an open mind. Don't have any reservations, don't have any preconceptions about Linux, because most of them aren't true. Most of them are just what people say who haven't really used the OS and don't really know that much about the OS. So come in with an open mind. Try and think of Linux as a great platform to do what you want to do. Don't think of the drawbacks, think of what you can gain from using Linux, and you'll enjoy it a whole lot more, I can guarantee it. Tip number 3, try and use Google as much as you can. Google is your friend. There's lots of times when I've struggled with things on Linux and I've Googled them and I've came up with the correct answers. Back when I got into Linux I started using Linux when XP was out, but as soon as Vista hit, I'm not going to talk much about that, not much to be said really, but that's when I made the switch to Linux mainstreamly. And is that a word? Mainstreamly? That's when I started really using Linux. And the thing that at that time I didn't understand was if you wanted to run a program, you had to right click and then go on the properties and select running as an executable program, as opposed to actually having to just double click, which would bring up the file structure. This is something that, again, I struggled with, and I scratched my head for weeks on this. And then I googled it and I came up with the right answer. Generally, if you've got an issue or a problem, or there's something that isn't quite working with you in your system, in your case, generally someone else has had the same problem and they've probably found a solution, or someone's found a solution for them which is out there for you to access. So if you're struggling, don't forget to Google anything. Tip number 4 is to use forums. There are lots of great forums out there for Linux and other platforms, but the forums are great. Everyone tends to be really helpful there. There was a time when, before LibreOffice became standard on Linux Mint and other OSs, I had OpenOffice. Now the problem with that was that LibreOffice wasn't actually in my repository, so it's not as simple as going in the terminal and doing sudo apt-get install. That doesn't work because it's not actually in your list of programs that you can install, so you've got to add it. And that was something that I had never done before, and now looking back, it's real easy to do, but at the time I just didn't have a clue. So I kind of trawled around the forums and then I posted the question, how would I do it? And someone came up with the answer for me, and they were really helpful, and everyone was. And I've actually, people after that said, oh, thanks for solving this, because they were having the same troubles, but no one had thought to ask the question. So scrolling forums and looking for answers can be a great way, and then just involving yourself in the community. That's the best way you're going to learn the new OS. That's the best way you're going to figure out Linux. That's the best way you're going to stick to using Linux mainly, because you're going to find that it's really helpful and that you're going to create friends. So yeah, use forums. Your friend. Tip number 5, the final tip. This is really a simple one. It's just to have fun. Any OS has its benefits. All OSs have the drawbacks. But if you have fun and you just throw yourself in it and you learn the OS, you're going to really enjoy it. I love the freedom of Linux. I love the fact that you can do pretty much whatever you want. There's no barriers, no one's saying, I don't do this. With Windows, it's difficult to change a theme. Well, not difficult, but it's kind of not easy for the end user to do it. My mum wouldn't be able to do it, for instance. And just using Linux, it's fun. It really is. And just don't take it too seriously. Don't try and be real serious with it. Just use it, find its benefits, find its drawbacks for you, and have fun. And if you have fun, you'll come away enjoying it, and you won't want to switch. I probably couldn't use. Well, I do use Windows probably daily, but that's when I go and study and do other things. But as a primary OS at home, I don't think I could live with Windows. I really can't. I use Windows because you can't really avoid it and it's everywhere. But if I had the choice, I wouldn't use Windows. There's nothing that I think can't do on Linux that I can do on Windows primarily, or there's nothing that I need Windows for really. So I really enjoy using Linux every day, and that's because I don't ever take it too seriously, and I just enjoy it and have fun with it. And I just love. That's the thing I love, trying new OSs out, seeing where the differences are, seeing if some companies came up with a revolutionary idea for a new OS, seeing how people have implemented GNOME and KDE and other interfaces, and I just love playing around with Linux, so I just enjoy it and guarantee you won't want to switch. So there you have it, everyone, my top 5 tips for switching to Linux. If you like that, please let me know in the comments. I'm happy to do more tip videos like this. If you want me to do some sort of beginner terminal stuff, I'll do that. OS showdowns where I talk you through the whole OS, see what's changed, what's new. Happy to do that. So thanks guys and girls. See you later.